my channel. My name's Angela and this is Devon Threadtails. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today is my part 3 in my little mini series of what to sew this summer, and today I'm going to be talking all about jumpsuits. Now I am going to be covering a few different types of styles, so I'm going to be covering jumpsuits, dungarees, basically all-in-ones, things that go from your shoulders beyond your hips that become some sort of short or trouser. So I didn't know how to explain that, and I didn't want to put all in one, so I kind of think that jumpsuits is the right way to go. So this is the third in this series. I've also done woven dress patterns and jersey dress patterns, and I'll put a link into both of those videos up here if you would like to go and have a little look at those. So on to the first of the styles of jumpsuits. So the first category I've come up with is jumpsuits that have a fitted bodice, and I have a few here that I would like to share with you. Now you'll notice that I'm in a different place. I'm actually in my summer room. I've got all my girls home at the moment and my house is pandemonium and I haven't got anywhere to film. So this is the quietest and best place that I could find, and I don't have any fabric to hand to show you to pair up with some of the patterns that I'm talking about. So I'm just going to be talking about the patterns themselves today. So with fitted bodice jumpsuits, the first one is something that I actually talked about in one of my first videos, the dress patterns, and that was the Helens Closet Lockhart dress and jumpsuit pattern. Now I thought this was a beautiful looking jumpsuit. It has a really lovely neckline, strappy, it's fairly well fitted, and then it has a nice flat seam that goes down into quite wide-legged trouser bottoms. It also comes as a skirt. I'm guessing you could do it as shorts as well. I really like this style. I think for me this is the sort of preferred style. I really like it, and it's really similar to the New Look 6446, which is a jumpsuit that I've made previously. I'll put in a picture here of the jumpsuit I made as well as the stock photos of the pattern. And if you would like to, I have done a collaboration video with Karen, who is So Little Time, on YouTube, and we did this jumpsuit together. So if you would like to see that video, I'll put a link in up here as well. So both of these are very well fitting, except for the New Look one has slightly narrower, straighter legs, and I think that the Lockhart has more sort of flared, wider leg trousers. I think they're both equally beautiful. They look like they both have a zip going down the back, and I think they're just really lovely jumpsuits. As a bit of an alternative to that, if you wanted something that didn't have such a straight waistband going across, or not waistband but a straight seam going across, then again another dress that I talked about in the first video, my woven dress patterns, which comes as a jumpsuit as well, and that is the True Bias Darla. So again, this has a strappy kind of look to it, a fitted sort of bodice. It has two different types of backs. You can have a solid back, or you can have one which has a really interesting sort of open back and a bit of a gap and a tie of some sort. I'm not quite sure how it kind of comes together. It's got an unusual look to it, but it looks really nice. Again, photos will be up on the screen. But instead of it being a flat seam that goes across the centre, this time it actually has a gathered seam for either the dress or the trousers, and again I think that that's a really nice look. Wider leg, I would say, for the trouser, because it comes with this gathered seam, so it probably gives you more fabric. Really beautiful, and a different look to the Lockhart. So there was one other that I liked the idea of in this when I was looking at different jumpsuits, and that was the Nina Lee Cubella jumpsuit, but I feel like this jumps over from one category to the other. So the Cubella jumpsuit has more of a sweetheart neckline, strappy, and then again gathered around the waist into wider leg trousers. Really beautiful jumpsuit. I'd love to get this made up. In fact, I actually ordered the pattern this morning and have had it printed already, and I'd really like to get that made quite soon. But it also has a slightly different option for the top. So instead of a fitted and strappy top to it, it has a second option, which is a looser fitting, almost shirt-like top. So that takes me then into my next category, which is loose fitting bodice and loose fitting. So The Needle Cubella, like I've just said, I think that would be a really great one. Another one is the Friday Pattern Company Avenir jumpsuit. Now this is a lovely jumpsuit. I've made this already once. I would really like to make it again. I'll put a picture in here of the one that I've already made. I just think that this is such an easy style. It's got a loose fitting bodice. The legs aren't overly wide. They are wider leg trousers. They're not tight fitting, but they're not massive, you know, they're just really nice straight leg trousers. It has an elasticated waistband, elasticated neckline. It has pockets, but you could always take the pockets out. You don't have to do pockets, and it's just a really lovely, very comfortable to wear jumpsuit. So I'd really like to make that again. Again, looking at the different looser fitting jumpsuits, I did come up with the Sew Over It Poppy Playsuit. I've never made this, but I really quite fancy the idea of making this. So I don't think that this is elasticated. It might have an elasticated waist, but it's not around the neck. It's straighter around the neck, and it has a keyhole opening and nice sleeves, a nice sort of sleeve length to it. Again, quite straight leg. I think it looks quite smart, but it definitely has that looser fitting style for the bodice. Definitely. And then one alternative again from that, and this is an alternative. Firstly, it's a big 4 pattern company, and also the other jumpsuits that I've been talking about, they are all mainly done in woven fabrics, although you probably could do them in jersey, but this one is specifically for jersey fabric, and that is the Butterick B6330. I really like the look of this. Obviously it's in a big 4 pattern, so it comes with lots of different options and different garments to make within that, but I really like the look of this jumpsuit. I thought it looked really lovely, and I also thought it looked like a really easy sew. I think it has a very similar style to the Poppy Play suit for the Sew Over It, but again it's in jersey rather than in woven. The sponsors of today's video is Serious Brands. I've been working with this company for a little while now, and as you've probably heard before, I absolutely love these lights. They're absolutely fantastic, and I wouldn't be without them in my sewing room. Now currently my sewing room is not my own because my daughter's home from university, so she's been using this bedroom, and I haven't moved the lights out from here. As you can see, the lights aren't actually that close to the bed, but she has been using them for reading at night before she's going to sleep, and she said they're great because she can angle them however they want. They have these fantastic movable arms that are very bendy and very, very sturdy, and the heads on them are fully rotating. They have a 360-degree rotation on them. They do also have a dial on them, which means that you can get the lights to intensify or to broaden, which makes it really great when you're working on something very, very specific, or if you want a whole area to be lit up. I really love that about them. I use that quite a lot when I'm using the lights. So I have been showing you these lights in some of my recent videos when it's been very bright and daylight. It is, again, it's a bit of a darker day today. It's a bit cloudy, but it's still quite bright. But I'm going to close the curtains now and show you the difference of what they look like when I turn the lights on, and the difference it makes to the area that you're working on. Right, so now we're in semi-darkness. It's not completely dark. I haven't got the light on in the room, but obviously a little bit of light is coming through some of the curtains, but these are blackout curtains. So there's no other light on, and I'm just going to show you with one light for a moment, just to show you the difference that makes. Obviously it's quite difficult to see exactly what the light is like. This is sort of angled towards the bed. If I can bend that down, you can see how bright that makes that. And then if I turn the second light on, obviously you can move that around so the area of light is you know, greater for you. You can turn the dials so that the dials make the light more intense. I have the Gemini floor standing lamp, which makes it great. So you do have these 2 heads of light where you can angle them certainly around your sewing machine so that you don't have that strange you know, overshadow when you're working with just one light. You can sort of have one and have one angled at a slightly different angle, and it just really, really helps when you're sewing. So I'll just turn them off again so you can see the difference. That's with both of them off, one of them on, which still makes a massive difference. and both of them on. If you'd like to get your hands on a serious light, then I do have a code for you. It is Devon24, and this will give you £100 off any of their high definition range of lights, and also free delivery if you live in the UK. I really hope that you do take a chance to go and have a look at their website. I'll pop the details down below together with the code as well if you fancy taking up that offer. So the next category is wrap style jumpsuit, and I think everybody will come up with one particular jumpsuit in their mind when they think of a wrap style, and that is the Paper Theory Zadie jumpsuit. This is an absolutely beautiful jumpsuit. I've seen literally thousands of versions of this online, and it's all done in woven. There's no elastic on it. It just stays up and does it by tying it around, so it is an actual wrap. The trousers are not overly sized. They are wider than a tight fitting trouser, but they are straight. This can be done 3/4 length. You could do it you know, just shorts. I make mine full length because I prefer that style. I have made this a few times, and I'll put a couple of pictures in of the different versions that I've got here. I've done a viscose version, and I've done one in a Indian cotton, I think it is, and I much prefer, I always get confused, it's either Indian or Japanese cotton, I can't remember, but whichever it is, it's slightly stiffer and thicker than a viscose, and I much prefer that. It's just a really lovely shape, and it's very, very flattering, and it's very easy to fit. Lots of people do size down on this, so it's not so oversized, but it is meant to be a very oversized jumpsuit. But I do have a couple of alternatives to this in terms of wrap jumpsuits. So the first one I have is the Simplicity SP108, and I think this is the one which is a Big Four pattern company, most similar to the Zadie, but it has a very slightly different look to it. It has flutier, not fluffy sleeves. It doesn't have fluffy sleeves. It has frillier sleeves, if you like, and possibly slightly more on the dressy side because of those fluty sleeves. I'm not quite sure, but I really like this. I thought it looked very similar to the Zadie. But again, as another alternative, if you wanted a slightly different style, is the New Look N6493, and this is also a wrap jumpsuit, again all in woven. I think all three of these are for woven fabrics, but this time the jumpsuit has straps and it doesn't come with sleeve options, so you could do something similar to the Zadie but with shoestring straps, which might be a bit more appropriate for the summer. I'm not quite sure, but I thought that was a really lovely jumpsuit too. So next up is Dungaree style jumpsuits, or dungarees just on their own. So I have a favourite pair of dungarees and a pattern that I use, and I will put a picture of the pattern up here, and I will put a picture of the dungarees that I've made using this pattern as well. I have actually made this a couple of times for my daughters as well. I really like this. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it because this pattern isn't available anymore. I'm putting the picture of the pattern up on the screen for you because I think that you probably could get it secondhand or from eBay and all that kind of thing, but it is not in production anymore. But the pattern that I think is most like this pattern is the True Bias Riley overalls. I think this is it's so similar to the ones that I have made. They, I would say, are possibly slightly wider legged, but even so, I think it's a really lovely style. They just look like really good basic dungarees, and they just look super. I've seen several people wear these and made up this pattern, and I just think it looks absolutely lovely. And I think in the right sort of fabric, they can look really top quality. But again, as a bit of an alternative, there is the Bodice 6599. I think that these are a very similar type style to the dungaree of the Riley. The only thing I would say is these, I would say, have a narrower type leg or narrower leg design to them. I think again they just look like a standard dungaree, and I really like them. Now there's just one other dungaree pattern that I wanted to mention, and that's the McCall's M8162. Now I've made this before. I made it a long time ago, quite early on in my sewing journey, and I made them because I was totally inspired by Amanda, who is Amanda I Sew a Lot on YouTube and Instagram. Unfortunately, she doesn't seem to be doing YouTube videos anymore, but she's still a massive inspiration to me. And she made these as dungarees, and she also made them as trousers as well, because the pattern comes as both. And I like the fact that this shows on the design that you can make them as like a little play suit dungaree as well, with shorts. I just think that's really, really cute. But the difference with this is that the fabric is a stretch denim, so you can get a bit of a closer, more tighter fitting look if that's what you prefer, rather than the Riley and the Burda design, which are the looser, more traditional kind of fit of dungaree. This one is slightly tighter fitting because you use the stretch denim and the stretch fabric. I also like the fact that it has the option for a straight, you know, skin tight type leg, but it also has the option for flares if you really like that kind of look too. So the next style of all-in-one play suit, whatever you want to call it, is a romper style. Now, there are quite a few different variations and ways of looking at this. So the first one that I'm going to talk to you about, which could also come under the loose fitting jumpsuit, is the True Bias romper. Now, I did have this in a different category, and then I realised that it had the name romper in it, and I thought, well, I can't put it in any other category, can I? Sorry, I don't think I said Shelby romper, I just said romper, didn't I? So it's the True Bias Shelby romper, and that's what I'm wearing today. I really like it. This is the shorts version. It's really lovely. I'll put a picture in of me wearing it because you can't see it properly here. You can make it in long or short. You can also make it as a dress, so it does have a couple of different options. It has princess seams, it has little cap sleeves. I think it has different variations of sleeves that you can make as well. And I absolutely love this jumpsuit, and I really, really need to make it again. I've only made it this once, and it's in this fabric that I had from Crafty So and So, but I don't wear it very often, and the reason I don't wear it very often, and this is a very poor excuse, is it's a bit of a pig to iron, if I'm absolutely honest. But once it is ironed and you're wearing it, it's lovely. And every single time I wear it, I get so many compliments on it, and I get people asking me if I sell clothes and would I make them one, and I'm like, no. I don't do that, but thank you very much. So I had to include this one because it's so lovely, and obviously the trousers in it, as you can see from the shorts, they're very, very, very wide legged, so it almost looks like a dress when you're wearing it, but I just love it, and I do need to make it again. So the trousers are exceptionally wide legs, so that's one style of romper, and it's buttoned down. The next style of romper that I wanted to say, which almost is a bit like dungaree, but I feel it looks rompery, is the Heydays by Waves and Wild. So I've made these, and I've only ever made them in a stiffer denim fabric, and I've made them so that they are something that I'd wear in either the spring or autumn, or maybe even the winter. And I really think that I need to revisit this, because I think these are calling out to be made in a viscose. I think this would be a fabulous pattern to make in a viscose, really fun fabric with a little white or black or whatever t-shirt on underneath, or you can make them plain and wear a fun t-shirt underneath. I think you could make them so lightweight. I think the legs do taper in, and if I was going to make them in a viscose, I'd probably have them a bit straighter, but that's an easy fix to do on the pattern. So yeah, I just think this is a great pattern. No silly fastenings or anything, you just literally tie them. It's just brilliant. So yes, I would like to revisit this as a romper type style jumpsuit. And then the last romper style that I wanted to share is something which is very new to me. I've actually ordered the pattern, inspired completely by Sarah, who is So Sarah Style on Instagram and YouTube, and that's the McCall's M8245. She's made this in a pattern that's called something else and made by something else. It's gone out of production, but she has said that this is a like for like, so I'm hoping it is. But this is actually a jumpsuit that can be made, or a romper suit that can be made out of jersey fabric, and it just looks really, really simple lines, really lovely look to it, quite wide legged I would say, but I thought it again would be a lovely addition to any kind of summer wardrobe. And then to have that on with some sort of lightweight shirt over it, or some sort of lightweight covering over the top, or just to wear it as it is and maybe a little t-shirt underneath it, would look absolutely lovely. Next category is boiler suits slash flight suit, and I'm saying slash flight suit because the first pattern that I'm going to mention, the name of the pattern is the Closet Core Blanca flight suit, but it looks like a boiler suit, flight suit, boiler suit, whichever way you want to describe it. So I have again made this in a very wintry type style and version. I made it in a dark grey and I wore it over the winter and in the colder months, and I'll put a picture in here of what that looks like. But I have seen so many different versions of this. I've seen versions of it in heavier weight fabric, which is more fun than what I made mine in. Mine was very boring because it was just grey, but I've also seen it made up in lighter weight fabric, and I would love the chance to have a go at making this in a lighter fabric. Maybe not completely a linen because I think it would crease too much, but something along those lines that's lighter weight, really breathable and really nice for the summer, and a lighter, more fun fabric as well for the summer. I think that would be absolutely lovely. I love this jumpsuit, boiler suit, flight suit, whatever you want to call it. It really was a favourite of mine over the winter, and I didn't think I was brave enough to wear it, but once I wore it once or twice I was like, that right, I'm just wearing it all the time. So I know that I would wear one if I made it in summery fabric. One alternative to this, which is very similar to it as an alternative, is the McCall's M8243, and I think this is a very similar look to it. It's just a little bit looser fitting, I would say, or certainly the design of it looks looser fitting. Again, if you wanted something with a slightly different look that was slightly oversized, I think this is a really good alternative. The next one is a pattern that I have eyed up for years actually. I think this has been out for quite some time. I've never bought it, and I don't really know why because I absolutely love it, but it is the McCall's M7908. So again, this is a boiler type suit, but it is, it's a bit of a foxy looking boiler suit, I would say. It's really fab. I absolutely love it. So it has this V neckline. I think it has a collar. Now I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it has a collar, and it has really, well, it's got different options for shorts, short sleeve, long sleeve, etc. It looks like it's probably going to be made from some sort of stretch denim as opposed to a, you know, standard denim or whatever fabric that you want to use. But I just think this looks super foxy. I really like this pattern. I don't know why I haven't bought it. I've been in love with it for quite some time, but that was another alternative. So on to the next category, and this is the dressy jumpsuits. So I really didn't think about adding this as a category, but when I was going through and researching all of the different jumpsuits that I could find and what I thought would be a really good thing for the summer, I kept coming across some really dressy jumpsuits, and I thought, actually, I think I need to include this as a category. So I've got 3 different ones for you with different sort of necklines and different looks to it, so I hope that that is okay. So the first one is the Butterick B6130. Now I really like this one. It has a very classy kind of, I would say, boat neck type style across here, as in it comes up quite high, but then it has like a little cowl, or it might be a little collar attached. I'm not quite sure how it works, but it looks a bit like a cowl. And then it's sleeveless, and it has really nice sort of lines to it, and the trousers look like they were just very straight legged, not overly wide legged, and I thought it looked very classy, really lovely. I can imagine being on a holiday and going out for an evening, having this in a beautiful fabric and just going out for an evening and just looking really quite top notch. Do you know what I mean? I just think it would look lovely. You could pair that with a really nice jacket, that kind of thing. So I just thought that was a really beautiful jumpsuit that would be lovely for the summer. Then I saw the Vogue V1506. So this one I would say is more of a proper going out kind of jumpsuit. So this is way more figure hugging in terms of coming down from the top to around about the hips, and then I would say it's wider leg from the hips down. It has a plunging V, it has gathers around the shoulder, it does come right up at the back, and on their stock photos they've obviously got it in some kind of a glittery or sequiny type style fabric, and it just looks really, really lovely, I have to say. And then the last one, which is different again, is the McCall's M7366, and this has 2 different necklines, the same trousers, so again wide but not overly wide leg, quite straight leg trousers, and then it has a crossover type style top. Again, all of these are sleeveless, or the other one was a very plunging V line coming down the front, which was a little bit risque, but I just thought it was a really interesting look, and I just thought it was quite nice and definitely something a bit different. But I really like the idea of that one. I think that would look super sexy, I have to say. But yeah, I thought that all three of those were very different from each other and would make really dressy, really lovely jumpsuits to wear out of an evening in the summer. So those are all of my categories for jumpsuits, but what about if you wanted to make up your own jumpsuit? I think there are so many different ways that you could amalgamate different patterns, and I've seen so many people do this. So let's say, for example, you have a pair of trousers with an elasticated waistband to them, and you've got a favourite shirt that you like or a favourite top that you like. There's no reason why you couldn't amalgamate those patterns and create your own jumpsuit using that. You don't have to use a pattern that's already out there. So I have seen something that I'd really like to do. I have got one of the Tilling the Buttons books. I think it's the Make It Simple book. And in that book, there is the Safyia trousers. I'm sure if you haven't heard of them, I'm surprised you haven't, but if you haven't, I'll put a picture of them up here. But they are such a well-known and well-used, fantastic trouser pattern. And there is an option to make it into a jumpsuit or a play suit and that kind of thing, and they look great. But I've seen a different option to this, and that's where somebody has put a panel, a sheared panel that they make into almost like a boob tube, and then they attach that to the Safyia trouser bottoms and then make little straps with it, and it just looks absolutely fantastic. And I really like the idea of doing that. So why not make up your own version? Or have you made up your own version? And if you have, share that in the comments below, because I'd love to hear that. But yeah, I just thought any kind of jumpsuit made up from different mishmash of patterns would be lovely. So that's it from me today. I hope that you've enjoyed that. Do let me know in the comments below what sort of style of jumpsuit is your favourite, if you've tried any of them before, if there are any ones that I haven't mentioned that you think would be useful for myself or the other viewers to know. Put it in the comments so that we can all have a little look, because it's great to be able to read each other's comments and see what everybody else suggests. But other than that, that's it from me. I will see you all again soon. You take care. Bye.